Hi, I'm Chris Jenkins. I'm an Associate Dean at Oberlin Conservatory. Black History Month isn't just one month to celebrate, it's an ongoing concern at Oberlin. Before we launch our series this February, here's a snapshot of the incredible work by Black artists Oberlin has showcased on Stage Left. These are available for you to review on demand on Backstage Pass, and there will be more content coming this month on Stage Left and around the campus.
I'm joined here with composer Michael Frazier. Such a pleasure. Michael, it was really so nice to work on your piece, Moon Eyes. It's so beautiful. And as I understand, it's based on Miles Davis's Moon Dreams from the Birth of the Cool album. So tell us a little about this gem of a piece.
Sure. So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily based on. Really, the only thing that I really extracted from the work, besides just the inspiration, because I love the work so much, is the just some of the harmonic usage that Miles employs in the recordings that I've heard. But in particular, the main reason why I was so attached to Miles Davis, and in particular the Birth of the Cool album and Moon Dreams, is that it was one of the first pieces of jazz where I really started to consider the significance and the importance of Black musical artistry and how that influences and informs myself, not only as a composer of color, but as a musician as well. So, in being in education and being taught composition for a long time, it's never really reflected on or represented enough of Black musical artistry, or even artistry of other cultures. It's really only white male European music, and that trajectory, that's what you're taught. But for me, at least, my inspiration and the things that I'm most attracted to in music are things that are more closer to me as a person and closer to my own identity, which includes jazz music, hip hop music, soul, funk, things of that nature. So once I started to realize that I shouldn't be scared to let those things really influence and inform my decisions, is when I was like, I need to enhance my own musical character by welcoming these things that make up my musical background, not feeling as if I have to always fit in within the expectation of what is right now just a general Western musical expectation.
You mentioned on your program notes that this piece was a reflection of you asking yourself what kind of music should you write and who should be your models. So at the end of this process, at the end of working on this piece, did you answer that question?
In a way, I really didn't. I guess the short answer is everyone. So this piece has inspirations from, of course, Bach and Dowland, all the way to folks like Nina Simone and Philip Glass. And so it's sort of all over the place. And I guess the answer is, both those composers that I was taught to revere of the canon, but also those artists of the 20th and 21st century who I also have come to know and love.
So tell us about the concerto, this concerto for harpsichord.
Yes. So basically, when I was studying as a music major in an undergrad, I eventually one day realized that I hadn't really learned too much about composers of color or very many women composers. And I was sort of surprised and a little bit upset about that. And so I started to think about my place as a composer. Who am I as a composer? And realizing that basically the only music I had studied as a student was the music of dead European males. And so that title is a very blunt title, but it's not meant to be offending in any way. It's just a statement of facts of the canon, that when we study the canon and when we perform just the canon, we're performing the works of mostly dead white men.
The events of the summer of 2020 have elevated the discussion around diversity in classical music to a new level. In these conversations, it's critical to highlight the voices of Black artists in our discussion around how to truly make Black Lives Matter in classical music. This next clip from the Black Reflections series hosted this fall continues that conversation.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for joining us for Black Reflections. It's the first of 3 conversations on racial justice in music. My name's Chichi Nwanuku and I'm based here in London. I'm a double bassist and the founder of the Chineke Foundation. It's a foundation that provides career opportunities to established and up-and-coming Black, Asian and ethnically diverse classical musicians in the UK and Europe. Our organisation aims to be a catalyst for change, realising existing diversity targets within the industry by increasing the representation of Black, Asian and ethnically diverse musicians in British and European orchestras. I was a founder member and principal double bassist of the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment for 30 years, and I'm a professor of double bass historical studies at the Royal Academy of Music here in London. Before I introduce our expert panelists, I'd like to take a moment just to talk to you a little bit about this project. Black Reflections is a 3-part panel discussion. It's a series on racial justice in music. And over the course of the last 3 months, we've all been pushed to re-examine the role of race in every aspect of our lives. There's a dire need for us to have a conversation as a society about the role of race and racism. And the field of classical music is no exception. In fact, I think it's one of the most needy. This series will focus on the legacy of Black artists in classical music, the personal experiences of Black musicians, and whether we dare to imagine a fairer future for Black artists, where conversation topics like this will no longer be relevant or even necessary. Our panelists represent an enormous range of perspectives as Black artists, scholars, activists, and executives in music. Tonight, our focus will be primarily on the contributions of Black artists and the social and historical context for Black artists' participation in classical music. I'd love to introduce our panel now and ask each of them to say a few words about themselves. So I'm joined today by the acclaimed classical and jazz pianist, Aaron Deal. Aaron.
Chi-Chi, thank you very much. My name is Aaron Deal, and it's a pleasure to be on this panel. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and currently based in New York City.
Thank you. Our next panelist is no stranger to this industry, and he's a giant in his work of shining a light on diverse talent in classical music. He inspired me so much when he first invited me to be part of Sphinx about 12 or 13 years ago. And he's continued to encourage me to create something similar here in the UK, hence Chineke. He's the Sphinx Organisation founder, MacArthur Fellow, and multidisciplinary artist and executive, Aaron Dworkin. Welcome, Aaron.
Hi, Chi-Chi. How are you? Hello, everyone. It is absolutely great to be able to join everyone. And of course, an honor to always be able to do any project with you, Chi-Chi. I founded Sphinx, and about 5 years ago, transitioned to the University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance, where I served as dean for several years. And now for a couple of years, I'm on faculty teaching arts entrepreneurship and arts leadership. So very, very much looking forward to what I think will be informative and potentially provocative conversation.
Thank you very much, Aaron. So next, I'd like to welcome a professor in the Department of Music History at the Juilliard School in New York, Dr. Fredara Hadley. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I am delighted to be here. I am an ethnomusicologist by training, and I say was because I don't get to play as much as I once did, but violist and classical pianist as well. And I'm super just grateful and excited to be in dialogue with you all and learn and listen and share thoughts as well over this really important and always timely topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Fredara. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce the president of the Society for American Music and professor of musicology at Miami University, Dr. Tammy Kernodle. Welcome, Tammy.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. And I'm so excited about this conversation and excited to be in a space with people whose work I've admired from afar. I am in Miami, in Ohio, the real Miami, but I am originally from Danville, Virginia, the home of Camilla Williams. And I am happy, very excited to be here.
Thank you. Well, I think we're going to start with a format of a few questions, and I'll invite two of our panelists to discuss the questions, and then hopefully as time goes on we'll just expand out and hopefully it'll just flow into a natural looking and sounding conversation, and hopefully we'll all get something out of it that's fresh and new to us all. So question number one, the burning question number one is, how have we determined and established what is and what isn't classical music? So can I throw that to Tammy and Fredara to start with, please?
I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to Oberlin Conservatory's Black History Month programming for 2021. As the Conservatory's programming continues, let's keep in mind that Black artistry encompasses a range of forms besides music, such as dance, visual art, and poetry, as was demonstrated at the most recent presidential inauguration. We also must be clear that the struggle for inclusion is ongoing, and that it will take much more discussion to truly redefine classical music for a more diverse future generation.
I wish those tall ships on Africa's shore had dropped anchor to plant crops there, sugarcane, tobacco, cotton, coffee. Instead, they filled the hungry bellies of holes with Africans and set sail wanting nothing from that big place that was into diamond, gold, ivory, fresh. I wind the clocks back, turn the ships around, not a single bullet, whip, or cutlass sound to deafen our ears for centuries. No Atlantic road of bones from people dumped into the sea to form a wake.